everyone. I don't know about you, but I'm really starting to miss being around people that I haven't seen in a while. It's hard to be away from people we care about. Today we're going to hear about a man who had a sickness called leprosy. And like the coronavirus, people were afraid of catching it, so he had to stay away from his family and friends. But Jesus helped him, and Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely too. Before we get started, we're going to grab all the supplies that you need. So you're going to need your thankful journals, markers or crayons, a ruler or a tape measure, a clear container, about 1/3 full of water. So here's a container, I've got about 1/3 full of water. And it could be like a water bottle or a food container, and you want it to have a lid that can go on really tight. So look for something that has a lid that can go on it tightly, okay? And some oil, some canola oil or some vegetable oil that you might have in the kitchen. One of the hardest things for many people is not being able to see friends and extended family, and for me, who do I miss the most is you. I really noticed when we had Zoom last week for the bingo and I got to see your faces how much I miss seeing you every Sunday and being able to say hi and high five or hug or whatever it is that we do, or just smile at each other in person. I'm missing you. Now I want you to share the name of the person you most miss seeing right now. So you can share it. Obviously I can't hear you, but just tell the person standing beside you, or if your mom or dad are there, who do you miss the most that you can't see right now because of this physical distancing? Being separated from people we care about can make us feel really lonely, but Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. Let's hear how Jesus' power helped a man in the Bible who was probably very lonely. Back in Bible times, there was a disease called leprosy, and if you got it, you'd get painful sores all over your body. There was no cure, and often people who caught it would die, and they'd often lose their fingers or their toes. It was a kind of disease that eats at your body. It's a horrible disease. People were afraid of catching it, much like people are afraid of the coronavirus right now. What are some of the things that we're supposed to do right now to avoid catching the coronavirus? You think of some of the things you've been told you need to do? Well, there's a number of things, but one of the things we're supposed to do is wash our hands really, really well. So we're going to pretend to wash our hands while we sing the ABCs. And the reason we kind of do the singing the ABCs is because when you wash your hands, it's not supposed to just be, oh, and that's good enough. They say you should be washing between 20 and 30 seconds to make sure if you have any bacteria or germs to come off. So let's turn on our taps, put a little bit of soap in there, get our hands wet. Okay, and here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Won't you come and sing with me? And now we're going to rinse them off, dry them off, and there. Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. Good. We're also supposed to stay away from other people. You've all heard about the physical distancing. We're being told that to stay safe from catching the coronavirus, we're supposed to be 6 feet away from anyone else. So we're going to try that. So either take out your ruler or your measuring tape, and we're going to see how far 6 feet is. It's actually quite a bit. I don't think this actually goes 6 feet. Let's see what this is. This one goes to 5 feet. So, you see okay, Daniel? If you put it on here, I'm just going to put this piece of paper on it. So that from there to there is 5 feet. And so there should be another foot after that. 5 feet, 6 feet would be right here. So from that piece of paper to here, that's how far we should stay away from people. This does not include the people that are in your family, in your home. When you're in your own home with the people that live there, you can be close together. But if you're going to go out or meet any of the people that don't live in the home with you, that's how far you should make sure to stay away from each other. And you've probably noticed if you have gone to any stores now, they have tape usually or stickers on the floor to let you know that you don't walk right up behind somebody, that you're staying at least 6 feet apart. So that's another thing that we're being told we need to do right now to stay safe and to keep from catching or spreading this virus. People in Bible times knew all about physical distancing. In fact, they were so afraid of catching leprosy, it was against the law for anyone with leprosy to even come into the city. And if someone with leprosy was around other people, he or she had to call out, "Unclean, unclean," so everyone around would know how to stay away. No one wanted to accidentally touch someone with leprosy. So they didn't just have to stay in their homes. They actually weren't even allowed in their cities. So if you had it, you couldn't even come into Salmon Arm. You'd have to live outside the cities, just out on your own, totally isolated. So it's a lot worse than what we're going through right now. All those rules must have made people who had leprosy feel pretty lonely. Let's try something. Without losing your 6 feet of separation, so without getting any closer to anybody than 6 feet, reach out and try to hug the people in your family. So I'm going to try to hug Danielle. Okay, and you can't lean in. You have to stay this and just keep doing it, okay? All right, and I'm going to try out and reach, and I'm going to try to hug you guys. All right, okay. Unless you have really long arms. I have long arms, but they're not 6 feet long, that's for sure. You aren't even able to touch anyone. No hugs, no pats on the back, just you in your own little bubble, okay? Here's a question for you to talk about. How do you think it would feel to have to be this far away apart from everyone for years and years and years? It could be pretty lonely to not be able to be close enough to hug anyone for a very long time. But let's see what Jesus did when he met someone who had leprosy. If you want to follow along in your Bible, look it up in Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 to 3. So just look it up in there, okay? And this is what it says. While Jesus walked along, a man with leprosy came up to him out of the crowd. The man knew Jesus had the power to heal his leprosy, so he said to Jesus, "Lord, if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean." Jesus reached his hand out and touched the man and answered, "I am willing, be healed." And the man was healed instantly. Wait, did you hear what Jesus did? Let me say it again. Jesus touched the man. This man probably hadn't had a hug or a pat on the back or a touch from anyone for a long, long time. Then Jesus touched him. Jesus wasn't afraid of getting leprosy. Jesus knew his power was greater than any disease, leprosy, or coronavirus. Jesus knew that not only did this man's body need healing, his heart needed healing too. This man needed to feel Jesus' love right there on his arm or his shoulder or his head. He needed a loving touch to heal his loneliness. We need to be wise and protect ourselves from sickness right now, but being separated from people can make us all feel lonely. Who do you know that might be feeling lonely right now? Like I said, I was thinking of Kaylee and Rachel. You can probably think of somebody who's feeling lonely right now, especially for the people that live all by themselves. How could you reach out to them? What are some of the things that you could do? We can reach out to each other when they're lonely. But even when no one else is around, Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. He's always right there with us to comfort us and heal our hearts. One way Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely is to remind us that Jesus is our friend. No matter what's going on right now, you always have a friend who is right there next to you, not 6 feet away. Somebody coming to join us?
That time, sorry.
That's all right.
Actually, it's perfect.
Your love is deeper than the ocean. Jump, jump, 'cause you never change. Your love for me will always stay the same. Jump, jump.
The people in Jesus' time didn't want people with leprosy mixing in with anyone else. I have a fun mix-it-up science experiment that we can try to help us think more about that. So it's time to use your oil and your clear container of water. Okay, so now we have some sciencey fun coming up. So we have our water, and now we're going to take our oil and we're going to pour about as much oil as there is water in here. So, all right, you see how that is? And now we're going to put a lid on really, really tight. You might want to make sure with an adult that it's on tight, because when you mix this up, we do not want oil and water everywhere. That'd be a real mess, okay? So then you shake it up really good for about 10 seconds. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million, 8 million, 9 million, 10 million. Okay, all right? And then we're just going to leave it sitting here. See, it's all mixed up kind of looking. We're just going to leave it there for a minute. Now stop and take a look at your mixture. We've mixed it up really well, but let's see what happens as it settles down. While we're waiting for that, see, what do you miss most because you're separated from others right now? What I really miss is ever since I was retired and at the end of January, which means I don't work anymore, almost each week I was meeting up with a different friend and we were either going out for coffee together or we were going out for lunch together. And just a chance to sit and chat. And some of those lunches ended up being like 3 hours long, or our coffee time was like 2 hours long. So we had so much to talk about, so much to share, and it was just wonderful. And of course, I can't do any of that right now. So that's something that I miss probably more than anything. What do you guys miss the most? Maybe getting together and playing games with your friends, or a sport or something, or sharing a meal. Okay, now we're going to look back at this. Can you see that? And or if you did this yourself, look at the one that you have at your house. Okay. As the mixture settles down, it doesn't look like the oil and water are really mixed at all. It seems like the oil and water want to stay separate. I think they're practicing physical distancing. Look, they know what to do, right? They're not mixing together. There's one's on the top, one's staying at the bottom. Oil and water naturally want to stay separate, but it isn't so natural for us. Being separated from others can make us feel lonely, but we can turn to Jesus for help because Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. Even though we're separated from a lot of our friends or family, we still have some of our family here with us, and we can still connect with people online and even do online Sunday school together. If it's healthy for you, go ahead and gather with your family for a nice big group hug. And if it's not safe to hug someone right now, maybe I should try hugging here. I can't hug her, but maybe I could pet her. There we go. I'm allowed to touch her. Okay, we're going to try give it a long distance hug like this. So we're going to pretend we're hugging somebody there. And thank Jesus for each person in your family by name. Ready? Go ahead and do that. Focusing on the people Jesus has put in our lives, even in this hard time, can help us feel less alone. That's one way Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. So when this video ends, I want you to draw a picture in your thankfulness journal of someone you're thankful that you can connect with during this time, either in person or online. Put today's date on that page and keep adding to your journal this week as you see more God sightings. See you next week. I also want to take a moment to share about this week's God sightings. Have you seen God at work this week? I have been. There's a show or a little segment that Danielle brings up on the computer for me to watch, and it's short SGN, which stands for Some Good News. And it's just an actor from TV who's decided that there's so much bad news right now on TV and on our internet, and sad news, that he wanted to have some good news. So each week he puts something good on it, something fun, and we were watching it yesterday, and there was some really nice stories. Just mostly it was about how many restaurants all over the world are closed, and how the people that work at the restaurants, the cooks and the chefs and the people that seat you, the hostess and the hostesses, and then also all the waitresses, that they aren't working, and so they're not making very much money. And the story he was telling was just about people all around the world that are missing going out to the restaurants and realizing that these other people aren't making any money right now. So a lot of them are still making up food, but they're giving it away to the hungry. They're giving it to the people that normally be working there. They're trying to raise money to help those people. And I think that's really good news. And I think those are some God sightings. One story that was on it that really made Danielle and I smile was an elderly man that lives in a nursing home, and his wife died a few years ago, so he's by himself in a nursing home. He's very elderly, but he has a picture of his wife, and every night he has that picture beside his bed, and he always gives it a kiss before he goes to sleep at night. And one of the nurses that works there saw him always doing that, so she actually managed to get that picture, and she had it blown up, and she had it put on a beautiful pillow, and she gave it to him. And when she gave it to him, he just cried. He was so happy. He just hugged that pillow to him, and you just know every night he'll take that pillow to bed, and it'll kind of be like his wife sleeping with him. And that really made our hearts feel good. And to me, that was definitely a God sighting, that nurse would do something so special for somebody.
Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Let's learn the books of the Bible,
Books of the Bible.
the books that you should know. Let's
That's
learn
right.
where they are, hide them in your heart. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy,
Say Joshua.
Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st Chronicles, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah,
Keep going.
Esther, Job, and Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations,
Yeah.
Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah,
Alright. Say Jonah, Micah, Nahum.
Jonah, Micah, Nahum,
Habakkuk, Zephaniah.
Habakkuk, Zephaniah,
Haggai, Zechariah.
Haggai, Zechariah,
Malachi.
Malachi? Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, and Romans.
1 Corinthians. Go.
1 Corinthians.
What?
2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Galatians. Ephesians. Philippians. Colossians. 1 Timothy. 2 Timothy.
Say Titus, Philemon.
Titus. Philemon.
Say Hebrews.
Hebrews.
James.
James.
1 Peter, 2 Peter.
1 Peter. 2 Peter.
Say 1 John, 2 John, 3 John.
1 John. 2 John. 3 John.
Scream Jude.
Jude.
Revelation.
Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Let's
Yeah.
learn the books of the Bible,
Books of the Bible.
the books that you should know.
That's
Let's learn
right.